Hello. Perhaps you came to this video with a similar issue that I had. Maybe you bought a bunch of worms to put on your Christmas tree, and now here you are at the beginning of March dealing with one of the world's greatest problems. Worm homelessness. And of course, we can't have our worms living in a box. So, let's fix our problems by moving them into a slightly more roomy box. I have had these metal crates mounted onto my wall for a long time. One of the few stylistic choices I still agree with my younger self on. For a while, I've been wanting to turn this one crate into an absolute worm paradise. So, let's do it! I start off with a crate that is about 11 inches by 11 inches tall and wide, and a hair under 8 inches deep. I would go slightly larger if possible, especially if you have plenty of worm. I'd also recommend using a higher shelf, especially if you have cats, since they are the natural predators of worm kind. Anyways, let's start. I begin with the floor, adding a piece of felt the size of the floor of my crate. I was split over what color to use, especially since I didn't have much on hand. Well, and what I did have on hand was just completely covered in dog hair, but I settled on this nice blue color. It was also the only color that I had that was both big enough and not completely covered in dog hair. Next, I take some foam board I previously used for another project involving this crate, and I cover it up with a brick texture. I didn't have any scrapbook paper on hand, so instead I used this one printable from MyFroggyStuff. I'm a huge fan and I grew up on her channel, and I use a decent amount of her printables and stuff in this video, so I'll link her channel below. Now, I cut a square wooden dowel down to the height of the foam board. Mine is 8 inches, and then I glue it onto my foam board. This acts both as a support, and it helps cover up any paper seams. My dowel specifically has a chip in the back of the top, but I think I know a way that I can use this layer. My vertical dowel was unexpectedly just a little bit too short, like less than 1/8 of an inch, so I hired a smaller extra dowel going across the top. Also doubles as more support, plus it helps hide my rough edges. Next, I make a platform out of a couple different sizes of popsicle sticks, then I attach it to the top of our wall here. Then I glue this little setup to the back wall, and then I work on a couple of other wooden pieces to go in here, like a ladder and another small platform. I also made this little stage just by covering a drink mix box with some paper. And now, to glue all of these into place. The one last platform I'm going to be making is going to be just a little different. But before I start that, I feel we need one last brick wall to work with. So I cover another stretch of paper with what scrap I have left over. And then I build a platform on top of it. I add some little walls to the side of it, leaving an opening in the front. I cut out a fuzzy piece of fabric to shove in there, and then I secure it in the worm house. Now, after all our work on this beautiful little interior, I think it's time we turn our sights to the outside. I start with this little thing I got at Dollar Tree. I think it's supposed to be some kind of planter, like succulent thingy. I don't know, I didn't really look at the tag. I just saw that it looks like it could be used in this project, and well, $1.25 later, here we are. I slide a small wooden dowel through the hole and sat it across the gap between these two crates. It took some finagling, but I eventually found the perfect crate holes to thread the dowel through, both so it wouldn't be in the way, but also so it would be nice and sturdy. Now I cut out some large popsicle sticks. Don't mind the huge desk mess, by the way. This is what it usually looks like when I'm not recording. Now I glue some actual sticks to the middle of these. I found these while walking around the trails behind my house. They're gonna look great for the worm house. Next, I precariously position my sticks. Wow, I really made this script a tongue twister, huh? Next, I precariously position my pieces of stick and popsicle stick onto the side of the main crate. And maybe one on the wall. I try to make this look like some kind of naturalist jungle gym. As a final thing, I decide we need a little safety net for the worms, because I must go extra on things. That is just how I function. Tulle fabric works well for this, and that's what I was going to use, but instead I ended up cutting off some of the netting from an old pool float. Recycling! Anyways, I attached this to some little beams made out of popsicle sticks. Each beam is the length of the depth of the crate it will be attached to. If you need to, you could probably get away with only using one crate. You'll just need more support for one of your beams, since the only thing it would be attached to is the wall. And now, one last thing to glue. And now would you look at that? A very leisurely worm spot. Before we wrap this up though, we got a few crucial details to add. I made a few smaller things to go in here, like these little ladder bridges that will go between platforms. I also made some tiny albums and a record player, both by following MyFroggyStuff tutorials. They're pretty cute. And along with that, I've been holding on to some lights I got from the dollar store. I figured they'd be perfect for this project. I also got some fake fur that came in a craft kit, so I'm definitely going to be using that too. I started off adding some lighting, threading the lights throughout the crate. While I did add a little bit of lighting to the outside, I kept it mostly in. It looks even cooler when I turn off the lights. Now, let's add a little bit more interest to this space. I went for a sort of space/anarchist type theme. While aside from the planet, it's a bit sloppy, that's kind of what I'm going for. I also added on some tiny Outer Wilds postcards I printed out. I think they're fitting. And now that we got all the wall details done, I finally add in the bridges. Now would you look at that? A humble abode. Let's overpopulate it. Now this is just a beauty. Amazing. Marvelous. I'm in love. Just, yeah, we got a worm house now. It also got 2 dogs rummaging around on my bed, so you may hear that too. Anyways, yeah, I can now definitely say that our worms are no longer homeless, and I can also say that instead of living in a box, they're living in a box with holes in it. And, you know, a lot of stuff attached to it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're about to enjoy the incoming photo shoot. I hope you like this little worm abode as much as I like making it. If you want to see more of the thingies I do, subscribe for the next blue moon I'll post on. Also, check out the link in the description. See ya!